Hello again and welcome, all you maniacs. It is Matchup Preview Thursday, and I think I'm going to kick us off by telling you about how I'm going to ravage Kevin this week. This matchup is not even going to be close, guys. Kevin has no shot. He is facing arguably the most dominant trio of running backs we have ever seen in this league. Saquon Barkley playing the Washington Commanders, who allowed 180 rushing yards to the freaking Bears. They allowed a buck 71 to the Arizona Cardinals. What do you think Saquon's going to do to these chumps? Saquon is going to crush them, and you're going to get to see it tonight, my man. I'm talking a buck 50 and a score for Saquon. You can't count on multiple touchdowns because Jalen Hurts is going to rush in 2 or 3 TDs himself. So, but Saquon, Hurts, both huge games tonight. Jaden Daniels, McLaurin, B-Rob, all absolutely unplayable against the Eagles defense, which has been red hot. Cooper DeJean is the current number 1 ranked corner in football. I expect him to just follow Terry McLaurin all night because Jaden Daniels actually sucks and can't throw to anybody but Terry. Terry is going to get locked down. I expect at least 1 interception from Jaden Daniels, probably multiple. B-Rob is barely able to play. He's got a hurt hammy. That was worst case scenario for Kev, was B-Rob suiting up. If he didn't suit up, he'd have Eckler, which would be great. But he doesn't have Eckler now until B-Rob goes down in the first quarter, and then Eckler's going to have a pretty good fantasy night on Kevin's bench. Now, what else? Let's see here. Darnell Mooney in the no-fly zone at Denver. That's a disaster. Kyron Williams is facing New England, which has been an easy run defense, but they get Christian Barmore, their star D tackle, back, and that's going to change things for Kyron Williams. Basically, guys, this one's all over but the shouting. Gonna have a great weekend. I'm gonna have a lot of fun shit talking Kevin, just rubbing his face in dog poop all weekend long, starting tonight, where I expect to have a lead after tonight, despite only having 2 players going versus 3 for Kevin. I expect to have a lead heading into Monday night with Joe Mixon to go. That's where I'm at. Joe Mixon against nobody. I'm going to have a lead. So my bold prediction, I'm going to go Jauan Jennings of the Niners. He is their number 1 receiver. Make no mistake about it. He is the one there. Jauan Jennings, I'm going to say, goes over 100 yards, gets into the end zone. Big game. I don't really need to talk about. It's not bold to say my running backs are going to kick your ass because everybody knows it. Everybody can see that coming. So, of course, I'm going to win, and I'm going to win this one big. It's going to be bigger than Kevin's boobies. I am going to beat the ever-living shit out of Kevin. There's nothing you can do about it. Suck it. Now, Steve Top Senior Bottom versus Gorlock the Destroyer, 2 of the potentially gayest team names in the league. One references a transgender, and one references Gorlock the Destroyer. Steve, he's the transgender. Now, we got Joe Burrow at the Chargers. He's going to suck this week, guys. That's just what it is. Burrow blew up last week against the shitty Ravens, blew up the week before against the shitty Raiders. Other than that, he's not, other than the Ravens and Raiders, he has not been good this year, and I expect that to continue. Joe Burrow, less than 20 fantasy points against the Chargers, who are just a nightmare to deal with. And that brings me to Ja'Marr Chase, who I hope it burns when he pees. Ja'Marr Chase is going to suck as well because the Chargers are competent. The Ravens just said, it's okay. We'll leave a 6th-round rookie on Ja'Marr Chase and just hope he gets tired from running so much. Didn't work out. It's not going to happen this week. The Chargers are going to be competent. Ja'Marr Chase is going to suck this week. So is Joe Burrow. Brian Thomas Jr. is droppable. Don't need to go into him. Justin Jefferson is a stud, but you know who's not? Sam freaking Darnold. How much longer is it going to be until Nate Mullins is in at quarterback, or Nick Mullins? I don't even know what the guy's name is. Who gives a shit? They should bench Sam Darnold. Derrick Henry is going to kill the Pittsburgh Steelers because he kills everybody. Achan's going to murder the Raiders because, everybody murders the Raiders. Low key, Kansas City at Buffalo is kind of a good defensive play. Not going to lie. Now, on the other side of things, you got Steve here. And, really not liking Josh Allen against Kansas City. If I were him, I would pick up Drake May, play him against the Rams. Bold prediction, Drake May outscores Josh Allen. My bold prediction on Jason's side is Jamar Chase less than 10 fantasy points. Cedric Tillman, he's been hot. Don't know if it continues. Jameis is just kind of a machine gun. He sprays it all over the place. Don't really know who's going to get the targets week to week. Jonathan Taylor at the Jets, good matchup, I think. I think Taylor does pretty well. Monty's getting in the end zone against the Jags. And Ramondre's going to suck ass against a improving Rams defense. The Niners D is not playable against Seattle with DK coming back. DK destroys the Niners. And they played the Niners once and gave up 24 points. They scored 7 fantasy points. I expect Seattle to do better this time. I think that game's going to low-key be a shootout. Stupid defensive play, Niners defense. So who's going to win? Oh, I didn't do a bold prediction for Steve. Bold prediction, Cedric Tillman gets less than 6 fantasy points in this game. I just don't have a good feeling. I think Jerry Jeudy's going to be the guy this week. It could be Elijah Moore. Could be David Njoku on his bench. Or what's really going to happen, they're going to ride Nick Chubb against the paltry Saints run D. They can't stop anybody from running. Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, they're both going to have good weeks. So who's going to win? You guys know who's going to win. Jason's going to win. He's going to win this one big by a lot, even though Burrow and Chase are going to suck. And Brian Thomas Jr. is going to suck. Henry and Achan are just going to carry him to the W. So there you go. Jason gets the dub. Now, the toilet bowl of the season. Trey versus Paul. And honestly, if you combine these two teams, you still wouldn't have a good running back between them. These teams stink. Now, Paul has Kirk Cousins, who I really don't think is playing on Sunday. Even if he does play, really stupid to play him at Denver. Go pick up somebody else. It's a bad matchup. Don't do it. Devonta Smith tonight is going to do okay against Washington. I expect him to have a big play somewhere. Maybe a long touchdown. We'll see. D-Hop's going to eat against Buffalo, and Devontae Adams just sucks. It's just not good, guys. Kareem Hunt's time is coming to an end soon, but not this week, so he's still playable. Najee Harris, if he doesn't play, who cares? Your team still sucks either way. Chubb should have a great week. So, bold prediction. Nick Chubb goes for his first 100-yard rushing game of the season and gets into the end zone. Great game for Nick Chubb. On Trey's side of things, he's probably going to plug in Nico Collins and Kenneth Walker, but who knows? Calvin Ridley looks like a freaking league winner. Drake London's awesome. George Pickens is awesome, but Drake London isn't playable against Denver. I would bench Drake London. Now, bold prediction, I'm going to say CJ Stroud throws 2 touchdowns and gets tired from handing it off and watching Mixon just rip the shit out of the Cowboys Monday night. So there you go. Who's going to win? Paul's going to win. Now, DK Country versus Lamb of Godwin. So Joe versus Junior. And, Joe and I have had some discussions. We almost got some stuff done today, but not quite. Got to give Joe credit. He was ready to pull the trigger. I had to back away. But we got Russell Wilson at home against the Baltimore Ravens, which is bar none the best stream of the week. As I mentioned with Burrow and Chase, the Ravens just refuse to cover wide receivers. They just won't do it. They give up the most fantasy points to wideouts, the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Russell Wilson is grossly underprojected. I'm going to just go right out of the gate with the bold prediction. Russell Wilson over 20 fantasy points against the Ravens. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to dominate the Jags. Deebo Samuel is going to continue to suck because he's the number 4 option now. I mean, you have Jawan Jennings as the clear number 1 receiver, but he's not the number 1 passing target. George Kittle's the number 1 passing target. Number 2 passing target is Christian McCaffrey. Number 3 is Jawan Jennings. And number 4 is a coin flip between Ricky Pearsall and Deebo Samuel. Deebo got the same number of targets as Pearsall. With McCaffrey back there, he's not going to get that many rushing attempts. I just, if I were Joe, I'd have sold Deebo. But, if only somebody had asked about him a week ago and got told he wasn't tradable. Ouch. Now, we got J.K. Dobbins. I expect a decent showing against the Bengals. They're not that great. But Chase Brown, tough matchup with the Chargers. Still think he's going to do okay. Now let's go over to Lamb of Godwin here. Jared Goff is not playable. I don't care that it's the Jags. In fact, it's even worse that it's the Jags because they're not going to need to throw. They're just going to run the crap out of the ball with Gibbs and Monty, and that's how that's going to go. CeeDee Lamb, man, I don't know if Junior watched that game last week or not. Based on what I'm hearing around trade discussions, that CeeDee Lamb is untouchable. I don't think Tony's watching these games. CeeDee Lamb's closer to droppable than he is untouchable. If I were Tony, much like Deebo, I'd have been looking to get the hell out. It's ugly. He's getting targets, but man, Cooper Rush sucks. And they're going to bring in Trey Lance now. God, that's brutal. Cooper Kupp, however, he's going to keep doing well because he gets targets from a quarterback that doesn't suck. Jackson Smith and Jigba really like him. It's going to be really interesting watching Bijan at Denver because that's a really tough defense, but Bijan's been on fire. Immovable object versus irresistible force. We're going to see what happens when the rubber meets the road. Pat Freiermuth is a sneaky good play against the Ravens. I like that, especially to try to offset Russell Wilson a little bit. That's sneaky, man. Rome Odunze is not playable. You got to figure something out, man. Just cut him. Go pick up Jerry Jeudy. He's going to get targets. He's playing the Saints. Just pick up Jeudy. Do something. Tony's most of his team's on bye. So what's the bold prediction here? I'm going to say get right spot for Breece Hall. Breece Hall goes $150 in total yards this week. I don't know if he'll get a touchdown because Aaron Rodgers loves to steal those, but 15-plus fantasy points for Breece Hall. Now, who's going to win? Joe is going to win. Joe's going to get the dub over Tony Jr. Tony Jr.'s then going to lose to me next week, and then he's going to be complaining about how awesome my team is, so everybody be prepared for that. Now, cursed by the old gods versus the patriarch, and Jared coming out hot, talking some shit about Mal Walker Sr. But, when people talk shit about the Tortuga, tends to not go well for him. I appreciate the effort, though. I'm looking at Lamar Jackson, tough matchup at Pitt. They just really limited Jaden Daniels, who's obviously nowhere near Lamar skill-wise, but they're similar stylistically. Justin Herbert should smash against Cincinnati. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He'll probably get a touchdown in 30 yards. Tank Dell should do just fine against Dallas. Probably 60, 70 yards and a score. Let's go bold prediction on each side here. Let's start with Senior with the newly christened unquestioned lead back in Dallas, according to Mike McCarthy this afternoon. Rico Dowdle goes for $120 and a TD against the Houston Texans. Now, on the other side of things, Jared, I gotta take a trip to Negative Town, and I'm sorry to do this to you, Jared, but I'm not really. T. Higgins is going to get hurt again mid-game. T. Higgins has no interest in playing football for the Cincinnati Bengals. He knows he's leaving in the offseason. This is a lost season for them, and everybody knows it. He does not want to risk further injury, so he is going to hurt his hammy again, and he'll give you maybe 2 or 3 points. What really sucks for you is you're going to need him, and he's not going to do anything. So there you go. Who's going to win? Senor Tortuga gets the W there. And there you go, guys. There is your matchup preview. I just want to take a second to apologize to Kevin for what he's about to experience, because he's never taken an ass whipping like he's about to take. So I will see you guys next week for the recap. Deuces.